Okay, so first on the agenda is to approve the order of agenda. Do I have a motion?
I would make that motion.
Okay, second?
Second, this is Brad.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign? Okay, great, thank you. Next is the approval of minutes from October. Can't believe it's been that long since we've been together, but it is. So can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
A motion to approve minutes is submitted.
Monica. And a second?
Second.
Okay. And all in favor, please signify by aye.
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 Opposed, the same sign? Okay, all right, we're good to go there. Okay, so the first thing on the first item on our agenda is Jane Pettinger is here from the Lions Club, and she is going to do a presentation. Just to give you just a little bit of a background on that. The Lions Club approached the city regarding a piece of artwork that they would like to donate to the city. So Jane, I'll let you go ahead and go ahead with that.
Awesome. And I believe Megan's going to put a visual up for us onto the screen in some way, shape, or form. But basically, one of our members who used to live along the river in, John, I can't think of the name of your neighborhood. What's the neighborhood name?
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm sorry, John Offit.
I'm in South. It used to be called South Acres. They took our sign.
Aha, that's why I can't remember it. Anyway, Mike Benson used to live in South Acres, and Mike is a member of the Lions Club. And he had the idea that, the flooding that we've done or we've avoided really in the city is pretty phenomenal. And future people, kids particularly, won't really know what that's all about, what that whole sandbagging thing is. And so he said, let's create a monument of some sort to the sandbaggers who saved our community time after time. And so that was his vision, is something to do with the spirit of the sandbagger. And there's two pillars along 2nd Street in Fargo, and they look like that right now, well, with snow. And the mayor had said, when we approached the mayor and city about, because this is something we could put on city property, and we had no idea what it might look like at that moment. They said, well, how about spanning these two pillars in some way? So the artwork proposal that you saw a moment ago, that's just a sketch-up of it, would very probably be placed there, assuming we move forward. And just kind of depict a row of sandbaggers, so to speak. The artist who's going to pull together the images for us to create the figures you see there is Karen Bakke, and she's actually completed a line of sandbaggers imagery. Then they're going to be cut out of metal, and we're looking at this time of using painted aluminum so that it would look like Cor-Ten, but it wouldn't be Cor-Ten because we could not get any assurance that Cor-Ten wouldn't seep onto those pillars and create kind of an unsightly look. So we have decided 99% at this point in time to go with painted aluminum. So it would be painted the coloration you see there, and erected this spring if we stay on task, which we have been thus far. So the idea is to gift it to the city. The city would then own it. The mayor would like to light it. So the nighttime images you see is probably what the lighting would look like. He's going to have us work with Jill Agel, who did the lighting on the City Hall building, to make sure that we have sort of a collaborative look there in terms of lighting. There should not be any need for maintenance, really. The paint should hold up over time. Of course, eventually it may need to be repainted, but that would probably be the case of anything, I suppose. Using Cor-Ten would have not required any kind of future maintenance at all, but the city was adamant that we not leach onto the pillars or the cement below, because that is installed on the flood side of the flood wall. and it's been installed to a depth that's maybe apparently deeper than typical. I'm not sure. Anyway, that was a criteria, and so we said, yep, we will make sure it does not leach. So that's really all I have, other than I do have a question for all of you, and that is slightly in front of, right about where Megan's arrow is on the screen right now, slightly in front of the pillar on one side or the other, we want to put a sign, a bronze plaque of some sort that would talk a little bit about the flooding in Fargo-Moorhead area and how the community came together with sandbaggers, and probably put a 2D relief on the top of that bronze plaque so that someone who is blind could sort of feel what's there. And then I would also want to put that in Braille and at waist height so that someone in a wheelchair would be able to see and feel the signage. Do any of you know or might be able to offer suggestions as to where to get that done, or if there's money that's specific to creating disability access to artwork that we might contact to help us with funding of the two plaques, actually, one for to list the donors and the artists, and the other to describe the art? So,
you know what? I think that the planning department has worked on that type of marker in the past. So they might be the best ones to help you with that.
okay.
Megan or Nicole, am I right on that?
Can you hear me? Okay, this is Megan. I'm not aware that we have. We might be able to coordinate with our engineering department, who may have, unless Nicole knows. Nope.
No? Oh, I thought you guys were doing did plaques for like maybe we're gonna do one for the bike racks.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
correct.
that was it.
There was
Okay.
discussion at that time, and the project manager was going to look into it, and ultimately, I don't think we ever heard back from him.
Okay. Okay. Well, in that case, then I guess members, anybody have any good leads that they can give Jane in terms of this?
Sure.
That was my-
You can talk to the North Dakota Federation for the Blind, Arts Access for All. I would be happy to share some of the accessibility contacts that I have throughout the
Okay, that was somewhat garbled, but I did hear the North Dakota Association for the Blind within that response. That's a good idea. And and one of the things I'm going to have to figure out is who can do the Braille. I'm sure a plaque company can, but I need to have someone I trust to place it into Braille to be printed.
This is Tracy Jordy. A resource might be Fargo Sign Company. I do believe that they do tactile signs as well, and I think that they would be probably well versed in assisting in something like this.
Good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Office Sign Co. I know does them too. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry.
This is I just had a question. Are these the plaques intended to go on the pillars themselves that are existing, or are they intended to be a freestanding structure?
My take on the plaques, and I'm just one committee member, is that they would be freestanding in part so that they are accessible to someone in a wheelchair. If they were placed on the interior of the pillars, that would also be the same. But you notice how there's plantings around the pillars? I think that might make it a little less accessible than if they were put right on the edge of those gardens, so that a person in a wheelchair could wheel right up to them, and a person who is blind who could stand directly in front of them. I also really like the look of the pillars right down. I don't like the idea of putting a plaque on them, but that might just be me. So my idea is that they be separate and it slightly in front of, and maybe 3 to 5 feet away from the pillars, so that the pillars are kind of how we're looking at them now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure engineering will want to talk to you about all that and how
Oh yes, we
Yeah.
We have been working with engineering for the city,
Yeah.
and a separate structural engineer is approving, in fact, as we speak, is in the process of approving the change of metal from Corten steel to structural aluminum.
Okay. Does anybody on the commission have any questions for Jane?
Hi.
Yes, may I? Or at least second.
Okay. Hi, Jane. This is Brad Bachmeyer, and this might be overstepping our role here a little bit. I was happy to hear that you've got Karen Bakke working on this, and happy to hear that you've got some images and things that you're working with. I think the interpretive information is fantastic. As they come closer to sort of a final rendition for this, I think we all remember and understand the role that youth played in saving the city numerous times, and I just think as those figures get refined a little bit, that there's an opportunity to make sure that we can clearly see, the portrayal of the images that youth are involved in that too. I think there's some attempt at that in this version, and perhaps this isn't the final, and a little refinement's going to happen yet, but I would just think that's something that's important.
You're absolutely right. In fact, that brings to mind, and I forget how much I've told this group versus that group, but the final figures is, I think someone's counted 21 in the final figures. This does not reflect those. And there were youth, what Karen did was she had groups of people, 3-4 at a time, pose into position, and then shot pictures of those. And so the outlines that we see, there will actually be sort of 2 rows. You know how sandbag lines kind of zigzagged back and forth the way we passed sandbag? So that's going to be more evident in the final production. So the way you can fit 21 figures on there is that there's 2 different rows of figures, and they're not perfectly flat as shown here. There will be bending, there will be sandbags, there will be more sense of movement than what we see here. And some of the models, yes, were youth, and so there's very distinct, I think it's clear that there's some youth, some women, some men. There's one figure that's just standing there with the shovel, resting a moment. That's me. It's not actually me, the model. I didn't model. But yes, and the other thing about the youth that comes to mind as you were speaking is that one of the things we're going to do in terms of fundraising is we're going to open up the fundraising so that anyone in the community can contribute toward this monument, just in the same way that everybody in the community contributed one way or another toward the sandbagging. The FM Area Foundation is going to handle our funds so that people can give large gifts or small gifts or anything in between, so that they can be part of this too.
Thank you, Jane. I appreciate that.
Somebody else had a question too. All of you guys are really tiny on my screen, so I can't see anybody. But I heard another question.
Yes, I was going to ask it, but it was actually just addressed in the answer. So, question. Thank you.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
One other thing I could add, I mentioned Karen, but I did not mention the metal crafter that's going to be working on this is Brock Davis of Davis Designs. Will be doing the metal work, and he has a Facebook page, and you can see some of his previous work, but it certainly doesn't show all of his work. A lot of his stuff he does is stair rails and such, but he's got some really cool pieces that he's done that are more artistic, like this will be. But yeah, I'm just thrilled with the 2 artists that we have working on it.
Great. Okay. Anything else from any of the committee members?
I will also mention, this is Jane again, that as you see, as I mentioned, this is a concept illustration at this time. We do have the final figures ready, and we are working with the engineers to make sure that the bridge structure is legit and all that kind of thing. So we do intend to pull together a more detailed, here's exactly what we're going to build with specifications and whatnot, that we will work with the engineering department for the city and the mayor's office and to make sure that everybody is 100% yes, this is going to, work in our ideas. And once we've done that, and once we get those different departments within the city to say, yep, it all looks good, start cutting the metal, at that point in time, I will also update Megan and this commission on exactly what the final thing ought to look like and feel like, and we'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony and all those kind of things come spring, or whenever we do install it if it's not spring, but we're hoping for spring. We're hoping for flowers, just like what you see there.
Yeah, right. Okay. Nicole, are you there?
Yes.
Can you remind me, well, the next thing on our agenda is a motion. Number 4, gifts of artwork donations policy and Fargo Lions Club project. I was so focused on the other stuff that I forgot what that is.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Megan, actually. Yeah.
Okay, all right, Megan, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So also in your packet is a section here on gifts of artwork and donations policy in conjunction here with the Lions Club project. So one of the roles of the Arts and Culture Commission is to review gifts or gifts that people want to donate or donations to the city of Fargo. In your packet are 2 sections from the policy document that your commission approved in May of 2018. One section is gifts of artwork and donations, and the other is an acceptance of fine art guidelines. So that outlines the process that your commission would review when folks want to donate to the city art collection. Also in your packet is a staff report that we've prepared that goes through some of the criteria, or I should say all of the criteria outlined in the policy document, as well as a few other things that the commission might want to consider when reviewing the acceptance of this. There's a staff recommendation on the 3rd page of the meeting memo that notes that your commission recommend to the city commission the acceptance of the Fargo Lions Club project Spirit of the Sandbagger as a gift, and work through technical details related to development, maintenance, and legalities with city staff and the city attorney. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask any questions you have and we'll answer.
Questions? Anybody?
Hi, Megan. A big consideration for public art once it is accepted is, the ongoing maintenance, liability, those sort of things. So is this recommendation at this point stating that the city of Fargo would accept those responsibilities, or are we still working on perhaps sharing any of that with the Lions?
So at this point, we have had conversations, or we understand that the Lions Club is working on that. We understand that the Lions Club is cognizant of maintenance and intends to provide the city with a maintenance manual. So that's part of ongoing discussions that's currently happening right now. And as Jane mentioned, they've been working with the engineering department through this process. And so we intend to continue to work with Jane and the Lions Club as they build. And so that's one thing that they are and we are cognizant of right now. So we're not in a position where now the city has this piece of art. What's the plan? What do we do with it?
I think that the once it is gifted, though, the city's preference, and ours too, is that the city owns it, period, at that point in time. So that ongoing maintenance that's necessary would be the responsibility of the city, as well as security and those kinds of issues. One of the concerns our club members had, legitimately, is, of course, what about vandalism? What about issues of that nature? And our understanding is that there will be cameras in the area. There may not be now because there's really nothing much to protect right yet, but that there will be cameras in the area and there will be a higher level of security than what we had, for example, with the Statue of Liberty on the Main Avenue Bridge for a time. That was a hard lesson for all of us to learn when that disappeared. One of the things that the fundraising committee anticipates is that we believe we can raise a bit in excess of what's needed in terms of money, and that any excess money we raise will be given to the city along with the art for the purpose of paying off the lighting expense on it, as well as any future maintenance that might be needed. So we're very optimistically thinking, oh, yeah, we can easily raise this much money and more. Now, 2 months from now, I might have a different tune to sing, but that's my thought at this time.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Brad?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions regarding what Megan shared with us, or questions for Jane? The gift policy? No? Okay. Is there anybody that is prepared to make a motion to, per page 3, and I've got it here if anybody needs it, recommend to the City Commission the acceptance of the Fargo Lions Club project, Spirit of the Sandbagger, as a gift, and work through technical details related to development, maintenance, and legalities with city staff and city attorney.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Are we at this point accepting this work?
Yes.
I think we should see the finished work rather than
So the recommendation is to the city commission, who will ultimately make the determination. So your commission is just making a recommendation based on the policy documents and the concepts in front of your commission today.
Thank you, Megan.
And we will get
to accept something that we don't know what it looks like.
Well, we don't know what the final design is. I mean, we have a rough idea.
And we do intend to get a final design in front of you as well as the commission. I don't know whether you will have a meeting in time for us to, hold off on production or not. But the details, yes, do still need to be ironed out with the city, and that was within the motion. But you're right. You're somewhat accepting a pig in a poke right now. You're absolutely right about that, John. And I totally hear you on that. But it will be very similar to what you see in the illustration.
Other comments? John, did you have anything else to add? Okay.
May I please ask, this seems like a gift that came out of the blue. Is this usually what happens with gifts that are proposed to the city of Fargo?
Monica, from my experience, this is the first time we've gotten a gift since the Arts and Culture Commission has been convened. So we're kind of blazing a trail here.
Right. I think John's question struck a nerve with me as well because of how suddenly this is being proposed, and I don't necessarily have anything against the design per se, but we literally just learned about it. So is everyone feeling comfortable about just accepting or recommending this gift to be accepted by the commission?
Let me ask a question. Jane, when you mentioned that our meeting schedule might interfere with your production schedule. When did you hope to get this into production?
Within the next month. We actually would have been in production already, except for the Core 10 issue that I mentioned.
Okay.
And just in terms of this coming out of the blue, we've actually been working with the city for, I don't know how long, many, many months now. We were on the agenda. We had hoped to be on the agenda in October, but we didn't make the agenda. And then we were on the agenda for November and December, both meetings of which, of course, as you know, were not held. So where it's sudden for you, it's not actually sudden. We've been working with the city on it since last fall and refining it. It's actually quite a lot different than we initially approached the city for, because when they showed us those pillars and said, could you span these pillars? That was a huge shift then in what we were originally conceiving of. What we were originally conceiving as was life-size core 10 figures, or bronze figures even, that would be like a line of sandbaggers that you could stand within as though you're a sandbagger too. So shifting to this, what we're looking at today, was a big shift from where we started. This is much more affordable too, which is not a bad thing to my thinking. And I think less prone to vandalism, because this is quite high. It's like 20 some feet in the air.
Thank you for that clarification, Jane. I appreciate it.
Deb, can I let me interject here as well? Monica, your point is well taken. And I think as we progress through this meeting and we start talking about the work plan later, we'll see that one of the potential items that we would like to focus on is actually getting structure around how we react and respond to our gifts, our donations. We really don't have a formal process in place at this point.
Yeah, I think I would just ask Jane if there's anything that would be time critical or sensitive, to your work process, or if you can continue the work. I guess I'm a little concerned just again about, like Tracy said, the process and the precedent. And if us waiting a little bit to make the decision, if it doesn't impact your workflow, I don't know if it's pressing right now or not.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I've been pushing my subcommittees. Come on, let's get going. And they're going, what's the rush? And the rush is simply that the artists have put aside time in their calendars and their workflow, particularly Brock. And I know when I've built a home in the past that if we delay one subcontractor, that it impacts everybody else and they move on to other things. So I would be concerned that we're going to lose or mess up Brock's work schedule. I don't know that that's as big of a concern as I've been making it with my subcommittees, but as I said, it's been in progress for quite some time, and out of respect for Brock, I would like to keep it in the timeline that we originally gave to him. He, if I remember correctly, thought that it might be simpler for his work to be using the aluminum compared to the steel, but I don't want to speak on his behalf in that regard. So I would like him to be able to order his materials and get rolling by mid-February, which was the timeline that he and I had last talked about. And I don't know when your next meeting is off the top of my head.
It's 4 weeks from today.
So that would be slightly after when I would like him to be able to order the materials.
Right.
I have a question. Would it be possible? I mean, I presume that the commission is in general is in favor of the effort and what the Lions Club is presenting. And the question is really, do we feel comfortable approving something we haven't seen or that's closer to a final stage? It's not the concept or the placement. Is there a way to modify the motion to reflect that the commission supports the concept without actually saying we support the final piece of art because we haven't seen it? Is there some way to nuance the motion to still nudge things forward without committing all in?
Yeah. Megan, your thoughts?
I think your commission could certainly do that. I'd look at Nicole to correct me, but we would like to draw your attention to the findings that are within the policy document, and that the city, as Jane noted, their group has been working with the mayor's office previously, as well as the engineering department. And so ultimately, it is true that the final version isn't in front of you today, but would like to draw your attention to those findings within the policy document, and based on where the project is today and making your recommendation.
Madam Chair, if I could ask a question.
Yes.
I'm just curious with this process going forward, maybe one of the expectations we have is that if any city leaders or departments or individuals are receiving and beginning to work with people in the community to make art donations, one of the very first steps should be to bring the Arts and Culture Commission into the process.
Yes, thank you, John. That's something that we have been working on in the background, is to ensure that all city departments, when they are, if and when they are being approached regarding gifts of public art, that they come to us first. So that we will not be the last people to know, which is kind of what happened here. Not to any fault of the Lions Club, certainly, but they are unfortunately kind of learning on the learning curve with us on this. So yes, thank you, John. And I think we have actually asked that be included as part of a training piece for city staff for future. So yeah, yes, thank you. In the meantime, though, I would like to, based on what Megan has said, I don't know that the motion that we have asked for
it might be simpler to...
Since we are asking them to work through technical details, I don't think that holding them up based on, I don't think we should hold them up on that. Seeing as how we are saying that we realize that this isn't done. There's technical details, maintenance and legalities with staff. All of that still needs to be, basically we're just telling them they can go ahead and start. So I'm not sure that we should hold up on this.
Yeah, Chair, this is Nicole. If I can maybe add some clarification to Commissioner Ann Arbor Miller's question as well. I think what we would look for, again, conceptually, if we like, this type of art, the appropriateness of the subject matter, the appropriateness of the location, again, those guidelines that are in the policy document, knowing that you've only had this for like 3 or 4 days in front of you. And if you are comfortable, I think the question at hand is, just to put it kind of in plain language, are you comfortable enough as a board for us to bring this forward in front of the city commission to basically say, yes, Lions Club, we like this project and please keep working on it. If I'm sure Jane would like to know that if the Arts Commission and the City Commission are not intending to receive this gift, I think they would look to the project as a whole, and they would have to evaluate, their initiatives.
Thank you. Okay.
She's referring to it as a gift, and it hasn't even been made yet.
I'm sorry?
It's not a thing. You keep calling it a gift. It hasn't been made yet. How can we accept something that's what you're asking us to do, is to accept this?
Well, it's sort of a trick in that we're not going to create it if it's not going to be placed on these pillars. If it's not going to be placed on these pillars, we're not going to create the thing. So it's a bit of a catch-22 kind of circular thing, because to create something that would span these pillars and then not place it on the pillars would be tremendously wasteful, because it would not probably go anywhere then. So we kind of need to go ahead to create something to place on the pillars before we create it. I think the concept is fairly clear, and the artists are known and recognized artists in the community. At least Karen is, and she's creating the figures. So I'm not too sure how anyone would proceed at this point in time without a clarity that, yes, this is something that looks good to us.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Joe Williams. I have a question more for the council or the commission. What is precedence in the past of accepting gifts that either have not been created or were not ready for the commission yet? Is there precedence in the past, and how has the commission moved on those past projects?
This is our first one, so we have no precedence. We're making precedence.
So I'm thinking back about 2.5 years ago when we were looking at the murals for the city hall, and we had seen a number of different. There were some pieces that were being, brought to the committee or to the commission, and I do remember there was one or two that weren't fully completed yet, and I know that was sort of a consideration in the judging of those. I could be wrong in my recollection of this, but I know a few of the members here were there back then.
Yeah, yes, actually, I think the images selected when the artist did the submission, they were not complete in terms of, am I wrong on that, Megan? I don't remember. Somebody did a submission though, then they weren't complete. That it was different though. It wasn't a gift, and it was a call for artists that was done by the city specifically for those murals, and the selection was done by a committee pulled together by the city for that purpose. So it is a little bit different, but I mean, you know, Jane is right, because this is so specific to that site. We can't expect them to make it and then decide, yeah, whether or not we'll take it. That's not something that we can do. That's not reasonable, I don't think. And I don't know, argue with me, you know, am I right?
I have another, I guess I'm
Who's first?
This is Anne. I'm kind of caught up in the semantics, I think, you know, because we don't have a finished, it's hard to approve. I get where a couple other folks are coming from. I'm wondering again about changing the language of what we're approving. I know there's reference to technical details, but I think what we're talking about is an artistic concept. I mean, for an engineer, it's a technical detail, but there's a concept that's being developed and envisioned that's.
So, Anne, I would
Does that
suggest
make a difference to anybody else?
yeah. So, Anne, I would suggest if you have a motion that you would want to recommend, that would be a suggestion. I think we're certainly open to other languaging than the exact motion that staff proposed.
Yes. What do you think?
The simplest way to do that is to vote down the current motion and then state a new motion.
Nobody's even made the motion yet, so.
No, there was a motion and a second, I think.
Was there?
Yes,
I think so.
for discussion.
There was. Okay, all right. So then let's go for a vote, and then if we get a nay, then we will go ahead and try it again. Okay. So as the motion stands, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Okay. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. All right. Motion has been declined. Okay. And do you feel comfortable rewording this motion to something that you think is going to work a little better? Did you, Anne? I don't think Anne's hearing me. Are you guys, is anybody hearing me?
I am.
Yes.
Okay.
I think she's on mute.
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, okay.
I was kind of curious to see how my concept of shifting the language resonated with John and other commissioners
Okay. John?
in terms of discussion.
I would encourage them to move forward. I would approve moving forward, but I won't accept something that I haven't seen.
Okay. How do you see that reading?
Chair, I could propose a motion, maybe, if that's helpful.
Yes, it would be. Thank you.
Yeah, along the lines of what Commissioner Ann Arbor Miller was saying, and Commissioner Offit, something to the nature of, approve the general concept as proposed by the Lions Club for further consideration as a future City of Fargo gift, something to that nature.
To approve the site, to approve the concept, but not actually to accept it as a gift. Does Jane have suggestions on how this can move forward?
Okay, so I'm trying to write this. Okay, so recommend to the city to approve the general concept of the Fargo Lions Club project Spirit of the Sandbagger and work through technical details related to development, maintenance, and legalities with city staff and city attorney. How does that sound?
Can you say it one more time, Deb?
Sure. Recommend to the City Commission the approval of the general concept for the Fargo Lions Club project, Spirit of the Sandbagger, and work through technical details related to the development, maintenance, and legalities with city staff and city attorney.
I feel comfortable with that.
Okay. Was that you, Ann? Did you say that?
That was Tracy.
Okay. Ann? John?
Would Jane feel comfortable moving forward with that approval?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
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 Yes? Okay.
Yes. This is Jane. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, so can I get somebody to move to recommend to the City Commission to approve the general concept of the Fargo Club project, Spirit of the Sandbagger, and work through technical details related to development, maintenance, and legalities with city staff and city attorney?
I so move the amended motion.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I second it.
Okay. All right. Again, discussion?
I would just say here to Jane to thank the Lions Club. I think it's a fantastic initiative. I think we're all very supportive of it, and it's exactly the kind of partnership that we need to move public art forward in the community. So thank you for your work on this.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Well said. Okay, so based on the motion, all those in favor, please signify by aye.
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 Opposed by the same sign? Okay, motion passes. Yes, Jane, thank you very much, and thank you for helping us. I know you weren't intending to help us through a procedural issue, but thank you very much for helping us with that. And I know that I'm really excited to see some art pop up in that area. It's an area that we really love to see just really kind of flourish. So thank you, and thank the Lions very much.
You are welcome, and I will get further details to all of you as they are finalized.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we'll be meeting again on the 17th, I think. So yeah, all right, thank you. Okay, so the next item on our agenda, it was the Fargo Community Water Tower process documents. This isn't really meant to be a discussion unless somebody's got questions. But as you know, the process for the art on the Fargo Water Tower was getting a lot of attention. And in the event that any of us get any questions, or perhaps there'll be some public questions here in a minute, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood what the process was. And also, if you have questions about it, we're certainly open to talking about it, but we didn't put it on there to spend a bunch of time on it. I don't think there's anybody that doesn't think that this could be improved. And we certainly hope that it will, and well, I don't hope, I know it will be improved next time because that's how we do things. We always try and make it better. Sometimes we miss, but we try. So anyway, does anybody have anything on the water tower documents process? No? Okay, all right. Okay, so the last thing is a calendar was sent out for meeting dates for 2021. Is everybody okay with that, or did anybody wish for any changes? We don't even have to vote on it. It's just what we've always done. And so unless somebody wants to change it, we're just going to let it roll. Okay. Okay. And then our next regularly scheduled meeting is February 17th. Okay. Is there anything else from anybody? Any public comments? I don't think we have any public. I'm not sure if we have public on, but any comments? Your business? Anything?
Procedurally about that gift, I think the procedure, we need to have a finished design before we can approve something.
It's going to be, it's kind of a, yeah.
Part of the procedure.
Yeah, and you know what, and fortunately, as Tracy said, the receipt, and this has been prompted by the Lions Club gift, is that will be part of what we're hoping work that will be done in this year in 2021 is to refine that concept and figure it out a little bit better. And then of course, as John mentioned, the other part of it was, we started working, hoping that we can get in on this type of stuff a little bit quicker so that we can participate more fully and not get smacked upside the head by these things. But hard to say no to a gift though, unless it's like really, but anyhow, yes, absolutely, John, 100%. Maybe you'll be on that committee. What would you think of that?
I just added his name to it.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, unless there's anything else, we're going to go ahead and adjourn. We'll adjourn for, let's see, it's 5:49. We'll adjourn until 5:55. It's going to kind of cut us a little bit short. This conversation was a little bit longer than, well, I shouldn't say that. It's going to cut us a little bit short, but we're going to start working on the work plan. And so if you want to jump off and then come back on the other link, I will see you all in 6 minutes. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.